What's going on, everybody? Session Podcast here, Mike Stadler.
Carl Bethke.
What's happening out there? Carl, what's going on?
I tell you what, Mike, it's the end of the year, my friend.
It is.
We had a season.
We did.
We did. And it was educational. How's that sound?
It was educational.
It was educational.
Yeah.
So we're going to basically do a year in review.
We can do that.
What we learned and what we didn't learn.
We learned. We learned stuff.
We did learn some stuff.
We didn't get the fourth one.
We didn't.
Son of a...
I know. I feel...
What's going on?
Be honest, might feel like we failed.
We did. We failed.
There were a lot of things going on that last hunt that we couldn't control. But I think we'll start out. We'll just start the season out. Beginning of last year, you guys seen us doing the podcast and everything. Obviously, everybody knows when the time starts, we start to do small property layouts.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, Small Property Layouts, which is our show that shows what Mike and myself are doing with our properties to improve it for whitetail hunting, which you guys will be able to see again this year, every Wednesday. It'll come out 7 a.m., Small Property Layouts. You can check it out right here on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, buddy.
Last year we started early. I mean, we were done
Yeah.
late October, early November with hunting.
Yeah, we started last year. This time last year.
We did.
Here.
Yep. And we were doing what?
Putting ponds in.
And why did we do that?
Last year. We needed water here.
And we did.
Horribly bad.
Which we learned that year
Yep.
from hunting. Put 2 big ponds in. And that was good.
Yeah, we kept water on the property all year, which was awesome because we went through a drought again here.
We did.
Ponds never got below 2 feet deep. Opened up the whole east end of the property to hunting now, which we moved in, in a whole nother set. That was full of deer every night. We didn't shoot anything out of there, but it was full of deer.
Yep.
Really utilized, more of the property. Kept more deer on the property, which was our goal.
Control movement
Yeah,
better.
we controlled the movement a lot better. We put a a lot of trees in again.
We put in 70
Yeah,
8 to 10 foot pines in this year.
yeah.
Even with this drought, which we put them in at the perfect time.
Yeah, it did go in at the perfect time. We did lose some of them.
Yep.
Obviously, it got to be just too hard to try to keep them all watered, so we lost some, but which is to be expected. But yeah, I mean it all worked out really good. But nothing but changes need to be done again.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
More additions need to keep coming to it, and stuff like that. But the stuff we did do worked out well.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We shot both of our bucks on your property this year.
Yes.
My property was the same way last year. You guys seen Mike and I start out early. We started my place in January, basically. Added some bedding.
Yep.
Added some water. And took away food.
Yeah.
And that partially worked. And what I mean by partially is still had large deer numbers this year again.
Yeah.
So again,
Too many does.
Again,
Too many does in the beginning, for sure.
We do have some really cool plans coming up this year for my place. You guys watch for that. Obviously, some cool stuff that's going to be happening here on the BMR also.
Yeah.
We've seen plenty of deer at my place. We see some good bucks. We both had opportunity at big deer down there. Just never really, I mean, they were all within 20, 30 yards or less, 5 yards.
Yeah.
But we never really had a clear shot at the animal, so we didn't take it.
Right.
And like I said, we both ended up taking bucks here on Mike's place, which is awesome. So obviously the small property layouts worked out really well, and then we went to our hunts. So you guys know we work out and prep our bodies so we can go on these hunts. And our first hunt of the year was mule deer and antelope in South Dakota. And this is becoming one of our favorite hunts, something we would continue to do every year if possible. We got a decent spot where we go, some nice people we get to hunt with, and day one started out, well, as we were driving, it was over 100 degrees.
Yeah.
Driving
it
in.
sucks. It was brutal.
And,
99 degrees right
we
now.
took wheelers
South
this year,
Dakota.
which partially helped a little bit.
Mhm.
But as we were coming in, a big storm coming in.
Yeah.
And it started raining and pouring. Poured all night.
Yeah, it was nasty.
Next
Lot of
day we got up, it was like, I want to say it was like only maybe 50 degrees.
It was cold. Yeah, it dropped. It dropped a good 50 plus degrees overnight.
Yeah. And you would think, man, that's awesome for hunting.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was a mess. It was a sloppy mess.
Yeah.
And it continued to keep raining and just, yeah. So the first day was kind of a washout,
Kind of.
you know, but
We went out later
did.
in the after in
yeah,
the
we
morning.
seen some animals.
Yep. And tried to hunt mule deer the very first day, and we got out and got on 2 really good bucks, and it was real windy, and we got well within shooting range of these 2 deer, and we were. I was antsy, is what it came down to. Made a poor decision. Really didn't have a good range on the deer, I guess. Set it for what my rangefinder said, which probably was being interrupted by moving grass. And instead of waiting for both of us to have an opportunity to take 2 deer, I shot over this deer's back, and both deer came out of the ravine and just left immediately. We never seen those bucks again, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember if we did or not.
They were the 2 biggest deer on the property because
They were.
we had pictures from the landowner.
Yep.
Which was somewhat depressing. And then, I don't even remember, did we antelope hunt that afternoon? Or we just kind of go check it out?
No, we didn't antelope hunt at all.
No, just mule deer hunted.
No, we shot.
Because,
Yeah, we got on that other one at the other end of the. Well, it was at the same end of the property basically because
Yeah.
we mainly could only hunt the muleys in the one area of the property.
south side of the property.
Really, the only area that they were.
Only terrain they
Yeah,
had.
the rest of it's just grasslands. There's
Yep.
nothing there. So we got on. I don't know if we've seen a few more.
We've seen a couple other bucks, but
Yeah, we were rolling on the top of the ridge and all of a sudden come off, and there was one feeding in the little grass area, and we both bailed off, and he took off, and we went after him. He took off again, and then we saw him bed on that steep side hill.
Yep.
And so Carl stayed and watched him, and I worked the whole top around him and kept glassing back to see exactly where I was because I kind of lost my area when I got up there. And I got right above him and popped over the top and ranged him and ended up shooting him at, I believe he was 70 yards below me.
and like a 50-degree downhill.
It was a steep angle down below me and hit him. He still went. He went away his 150 yards, 200
Probably,
yards or
yeah.
whatever, and he was gushing blood out of him. And I did shoot him again, but that was the first day.
Good deer.
The first full day.
Yep. In velvet, head
Yeah.
velvet on
Yeah,
him.
he's the only deer that had any velvet on him. Actually, we were really pushing for velvet.
Yeah,
We wanted to
hoping
shoot
we were
velvet
gonna
deer.
shoot
They were
velvet buck.
pretty much all out of velvet. He had some velvet hanging on him yet. And we really focused on mule deer the first several days.
Yep.
Because we did have 2 of our other guys coming later. We were there a week ahead of them.
And we were trying to fill our mule deer tags because we had antelope tags also, but we could take these guys out with us, and hunt just separate sides of the property. They could hunt one side, we could hunt the other, and then communicate with each other. So hunting as team, But ends up we started antelope hunting. I think like day 3 in the afternoons, and mule deer hunting in the mornings. Because what was happening is, if you're spotting and stalking around and you're in a smaller area, the deer get educated, so we would always leave them in the afternoon so they'd be back in there in the morning so we could hunt them again. So we started hunting antelope. Very first day when we got in the afternoon, got around on a few antelope, seen a few, kind of come back up to this corner we call our spot. But we kind of come up over this corner and around this corner and look, and Mike's like, yeah, there's a buck right there with a doe. And we got out of the truck, and I said to Mike, I said, well, who wants to go first? He's like, well, you can go first. He goes, I already shot my mule deer, so you haven't got an animal yet. So I said to him, I was like, well, how do you think I should approach this? And he said, well, we'll walk up around the backside, because he had taken our buddy Phil the year before, basically on the same identical stock.
Yep.
Up around this backside, and he knew that it plateaued out twice. He says, it plateaus twice. He goes, you come off the first one, you should be able to get down to the second one. Once you get to the second one, he should be right below you. So it's exactly what we did, and Mike stayed around the outside edge just in case he came back around, and then Mike would have a shot at him if I missed him. I snuck right down to where Mike said, and I kind of raised up over the top of the edge and looked, and I could see the doe and I couldn't see the buck, and I just raised up a little bit more, and here the buck's right there at 25 yards. I wasn't sure if it was a buck. I'm like, I can't really see his horns, and I kind of raised up, and then he raised his head up, and I was so close to him, he didn't even see me. It's like he looked right through me. I never moved, and he put his head right back down and started feeding. Set my pin, pulled up, zipped him, he ran towards the road, which was convenient, down the hill.
Easier to get him out of there.
About 100 yards, and fell over, and he was done. And it's my biggest antelope. We'll show you guys some pictures here. Great antelope. I was thrilled to death, and Mike had remembered everything from the year before, so having history with that location sure helped me a lot to be successful. So we got that one down. Mm-hmm. And then the very next thing, we stayed on mule deer in the morning.
We got a mule deer every day.
Yeah, and I missed a couple good opportunities. And then we were hunting antelope in the afternoons, and Mike was hunting antelope, and I was filming Mike.
Yeah, we were switching because we had one of each tag left.
Yep.
So Carl hunt in the mornings, and I hunt in the afternoons. And
that's kind of how it worked out. And I mean, you were getting on goats.
Yeah,
we were seeing a lot of goats.
A lot of antelope, but just trying to close the distance. I wasn't making some good stalks, but boy, it's like I said, we always say if you never hunted one with a bow, you're in for a little bit of an eye opener.
Yeah,
trying to get inside of them, and you get a lot of stalks and Carl watching and hot, and just couldn't get the distances that I wanted.
Well, we're putting in 10 to 20 miles a day on our legs,
and it was, like I said, it was warm temperatures, upper 80s, 90 degrees with the sun in those plains and stuff. And I don't even remember what day it was.
It was like day 9.
Was it finally?
Yeah, day 9.
I think, the other guys were there.
Yep.
And we hadn't got another muley, lots of opportunities. Hadn't got another antelope, lots of opportunities. Not like shot opportunities, but. And then, we had went. He dropped me off, and I went after one.
Yep.
And he stood at like 100 something, and I let one go at him.
Yep.
And he just moved out of the way and ran. And we came back to the same spot.
Yep.
Where Carl shot his, and there was one bedded, not too far from that area.
Yep.
And I literally walked right at him, and I don't know if it's I think it's because you get close enough they don't. If you can get inside that range,
if you can get inside 100 with an antelope,
time seeing you.
Yeah, they're not really comprehending what you are.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of a hill there.
A little bit of a hill, and there was a fence I kind of hid behind.
Yep.
And I got to the fence and I ranged him a few times. He was at 75, and he stood and almost faced me.
Yeah.
He was turned just slightly, and I shot him at 75 yards facing me.
Oh yeah, crushed.
And just crushed him, and he took off and almost died in the same. He went up over the same hill where Carl's was. Didn't quite make it that far, but
I think he was within 60 or 70
too
yards
far
of
away.
that pile.
It wasn't too far away, so
that one was down.
And we put that one down, so that was pretty awesome. Then we went right back at the mule deer hunt again.
Yep.
Which was getting frustrating.
So we actually seen, there was, what was it? That was day 9. You shot, Day 11 is when I shot my mule deer.
Yeah,
we had another day. We didn't see a darn mule deer. Not a buck. We seen does.
For a couple days.
Yeah.
There was just nothing there anymore.
And we ended up going out, and we were moving in the morning. Things were, I was down, not making great shots and whatever. Mike's there supporting me, letting me know, hey, just do your thing, whatever. And we get to a point where all of a sudden we see 2 bucks coming. They're both good bucks. So we start closing the distance. They were probably, mile and a half, 2 miles off.
They're ways.
So we started moving up the coulees. We were running up this dry river bottom. And we ended up coming across this giant that was... We thought we were on one of the deer we had seen. And we come around this point, and here he's 106 yards or whatever it was.
Yeah.
We got busted. He takes off with a rifle.
No, it's a mailman.
Oh. Mailman. But anyhow, that buck sees us. He takes off, kind of ticked.
Yeah.
Come around the corner, and Mike grabs me and pulls me down. He's like, right there, dude.
Yeah.
And here's this 5x5 that we had seen earlier.
Yep.
And, or he's a 4x4. 4x4. And so we've got this mud hill in there, in between us and him. He didn't see us. Mike's like, sneak around, tells me how to get back up over the top of this thing. We had to win in the right direction. And I kind of sneak around, did exactly what he said. I come around this mud hill, and I look at Mike, and Mike gives me he's sleeping look. So I didn't even look back at Mike after I did this. I kind of peek around the corner, and sure as shit, the deer's laying down sleeping. Got his head down, whatever. Number one, I didn't see the other buck with him.
Yeah, there's 2 of them there.
So Mike could see them both. My mistake, not looking back at Mike to verify that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Because hunting as a team, that's what you should be doing, working as a team, especially on these animals. And so I didn't verify with him. I had the yardage. I set the yardage. Well, what I didn't know is the other buck must have seen me, which alerted the buck that was sleeping. I come around the corner at full draw, and here he's already standing. He sees me, turns, start going away, quartering away. I've got my pin set. I'm watching him go. He goes about 20 yards. I held high, shot broke. Ended up hitting him in the front leg, messing up his leg pretty bad. He goes up to 100 yards, 108 yards, stands there again. I set my pin, put a shot on him. He just steps out of the way. The arrow misses. He goes up this big ridge. So I'm angry. Mike's angry. We're not happy about anything. We go up, try and find blood, couldn't find any. We found some blood up top, but not much. Anyhow, we go back, talk to the landowner. He's like, oh, I'm pretty sure I know exactly where he went.
Yeah.
So we go out, we do all this other looking around, come up over the top where the landowner said the deer be, and he's right there, right where he said. Honestly, I messed up the next shot. I had a range of 53 on my rangefinder, but again, I don't know if the rangefinder was missing up because of the grass or something. Mike had a clear shot. It was only 49 yards. And so I shot right over the top of him. Anyhow, we end up getting up to him again after a long, long hike of probably quite a few
It
miles.
turned into several hours and several miles later after that.
Yeah, this all happened in the morning at probably 7 a.m. And I think I killed him at probably 4:30 or 5 in the afternoon.
Yep.
It ended up with a 43-yard shot, double lunged him, and that was the end of that. I'll show you guys the picture there. But that was something, we had a discussion afterward. Mike and I talked about it, where we need to work more as a team there when we do it, which we knew the whole time, but I was just getting stupid. So we know exactly how we'll be working as a team next year. That being said, that hunt is done. Now it's time to come back to Wisconsin.
Yep.
And at that point, we had both decided we were going to take off does.
Yep.
And we didn't get a lot of time to hunt does on Mike's property here. We hunted them a couple times, but really never
Never had any opportunities at any.
No.
Of course, the nights that we tried to hunt them,
Right.
there wasn't any.
Right.
They never came
Yeah.
to where they had been every day.
Right.
Other than that.
And there's a lot of corn and stuff around the property, so
Yep.
they spend a lot of time there. So October 8th rolls around. Mike and I go down to my place to hunt antlerless deer because I'm seeing a ton of antlerless deer. We had to take quite a few of them out. So we had a good night October 8th. Why don't you tell them how that went?
Yeah, we had, I don't even remember how many there were that night, but I had just a ton of them come out where I was sitting.
Yeah.
And I don't even know. I'm trying to remember how many I seen that night. 15, 16, at least, maybe more than that. I don't know. And finally,
all different deer.
Yeah, all different deer coming from different places. And finally got a shot at one and put one down. Really thought about putting another one down, which I should have, but I didn't. But so yeah, I put one down, and I don't know, maybe 20 yards ish. When that fell over dead. Had one of the big bucks come out that I would have shot that night had he ever came down, which that didn't happen.
Yeah, well, there's too many doe down.
Oh yeah, he lingered actually around the body of the one that I shot. You know, and thought I heard other stuff because I was pretty sure I heard one crash below me, which is where you were.
Yep. Well, yeah, I ended up, I was hunting down further to the west and down on level 1. Mike was up on level 2, if you guys pay attention to our small property layouts. And I ended up having a doe come in. It was a 20-yard shot, made a shot on her. She run down towards Mike and was in the field. I thought she was going to go down. Then she gets up and she runs into the creek, which is what you heard. Yep. And she ended up dying there in the creek. That's where we found her.
Yeah.
And then about 10, 15 minutes after that, I had another big adult doe come around from the edge of the corn right past me at 12 yards. Well, that's too good of an opportunity to pass up when we have to take antlerless deer out.
Yeah.
So I zipped her too. Well, then she runs up to level 2.
Yeah, she runs up not too 100 yards down from me.
Yeah.
Crashes in there in the food plot.
So we had 3 down that night. So we had a truckload of deer.
Yeah, a truckload of deer that night.
That was pretty good. Then
it really shut down there though.
Yeah. I mean, well, we had quite a ruckus taken
Yeah.
out of there and stuff, but it came back.
Yep.
Then of course everybody knows when we say we're going on our rutcation, our vacation starts around the 20th of October. Actually, before that, I think it was before our vacation, you had the big 9.
I had actually I had Romer up there in the campsite plot.
Yep. Let him go.
And I let him go. It was early. I'm like, I just didn't want to shoot him yet.
Yeah.
I wanted to go on vacation.
Had to leave opportunity.
Yeah, which sounds weird, but I didn't shoot him. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should have shot him, but I didn't. And we basically waited. We didn't hunt a lot, though.
No, we didn't.
We really bided our time, and it was getting annoying not hunting.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I don't know, but then we were on vacation, and Carl went a day before me because my stepson was getting married.
Yep.
So I had to go to the wedding, which I told him he was lucky that it was that weekend and not the following weekend.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have been.
No way I was going to that. My wife did not want to hear, but that's what it was.
It's
so
what it is.
Anyway, then we started hunting together that Sunday.
Yep.
Which would have been, I think, the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
I think we started and going back and forth, between the properties and watching. Like I have cell cams there if you guys watch us, so I can kind of monitor what goes on here quite a bit. Carl's we don't, so we go and sit, and then we pull chips, as we're going to stands. And we had a lot of deer.
Yeah.
Moving around. And
was that first week when you had the big one, or was that before that? You had the big one within 30 yards.
I think it was before. I think it was before vacation.
Yeah, so right after Romer or something like that.
Yeah.
He was there for quite a while, and you just chose because there was so much brush and stuff in that area.
Yeah, I had him there for probably an hour around me. Right where we just put new bedding in last winter.
Yeah.
And he come out of that, and he was with a doe then because it was earlier.
Yeah.
And he was chasing does around me quite a bit. I went to full draw on him once, 30 yards, but no shot, quartered away. Like picture perfect, but I knew the shot wasn't there, and I let down on him, and he went away. And and we had, I had another one there. I don't even remember what day. We were on vacation, and I think it was when I was in the throne.
Oh, yeah, he came up right below
I
you.
called him up out of the bottom. I just seen him and called it. I think you were in the shocker plot.
Yep.
I called him up out of the cornfield, which is a level below me. He came right up.
That was a big 8, wasn't it?
Yep. Walked past me, and then I gave him one more grunt. And he came literally right to there's footage of it.
Yeah.
Right to the base of the ladder stand.
Yep.
And worked a scrape and busted branches right below me. I was at full draw on him. And of course, he turned and went the other way.
Yeah. Instead of stepping out one
Yep.
step.
So that one I let down on.
Yep. Yeah, and then at that point, I mean, we hunted there for quite a few days, and it got to be later October. I think it was the 28th.
28th.
And I was going to take, we have our friend Phil who hunts with us, and I was going to bring my son down because he had a day off where he could come hunt, and so I was bringing Logan to hunt with me at my place, the Triple B, and Mike was going to bring Phil over here.
Yep. So I hunted here the 28th. I think it was that night. I was finally going down into my bottom plot. I hadn't been in there in 2 years. Literally, because I didn't even hunt it last year.
Right.
So that's our big. I'm sure you guys, like I said, if you follow us, you've seen it. It's an acre plot down there. We had brassicas, turnips, winter rye, stuff like that down there. A real big, thick green plot. Put a lot of our trees down there. Built barricades, got a couple apple trees down there. But I don't hunt it until late, and it's right off the bedding. I've killed every buck on my property except one out of the same stand, and that's Flyer behind me the year before. So I went down there. I took the decoy. I decided I was going to take the decoy, the Widowmaker, I call him. He's always worked for me. I took him down there. I set that up. Had the right wind down there. Really, honestly, didn't have a lot on camera. Like, it was pretty quiet here. Wasn't seeing a lot.
Still had all the corn up all the way around us.
All the corn was up. Like I said, this was the 28th October. And I was in there maybe an hour, I think, and all of a sudden I had a bunch of crashing and running behind me go through, and I seen the does go through because it's thick there. And then out towards that west picked bean field there, I seen a little, just a small little buck come out, and I'm like, was that little buck chasing, So, and then the doe snuck back the other way through, how they do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that was what was the crashing was, and all of a sudden I turn around, and there's Romer standing there, which is one of the bucks that we had here forever, the one I passed in my campsite plot. And I'm like, I'm shooting him.
Yeah.
And he spotted that decoy right away and did not like it. And you can see that in the footage we had.
I think he was walking that edge trying to scent check it.
Yeah, he was trying to do it, and he couldn't do it.
Nope.
So he only had two options, and neither one of them were good
for him.
Because he was either going to walk straight out to him, or he was going to circle me and go the other way. Well, he decided to circle me, which gave me a 20-yard shot, which I blew. So he was taking a step. I hit him back. Took off, had a lot of blood, left him for a little bit, went down, looked a little, went out, Phil came out, we waited till dark, so a couple hours went after him, had a lot of blood on the ground. He went, of course, to the corn.
Yeah.
We went into the corn, pretty sure we jumped him in the corn. At that point I backed out, I marked the spot, backed out. Talked to Carl that night. They had seen a couple of small bucks. He also decoyed. You decoyed that night, so a younger buck.
And a younger buck come right to the decoy, let him go by.
So I told him I had a buck up here that had showed up 2 days earlier that I knew was here. And I had showed him to Carl, and Carl was like, I'd shoot that deer. So he was coming up in the morning, and we were kind of talking about, I showed him the footage of mine, and we kind of had a roundtable discussion of nobody knew anything. I think we determined.
Yeah, pretty much. That's a fact.
And then we were going out here to get in the stand.
Yep.
So, did your hunt?
I got in. Mike and I were walking out. Mike says to me, he goes, well, which stand do you want to sit? We had the flyer stand, which is the buck that's behind Mike that he had shot the year before, which I think is an awesome stand. It's right on the edge of this bedding. And then now we've got the new pond down there on the west-hand side, and then we put in a row of pines, which was partially there last year, but we finished it all up this year, which creates deer movement where we want it to be, right down this edge. So it creates basically a 20 to 25 yard shot with a mock scrape in there that they were using really heavy. Mike was getting pictures of this deer working through this area. And it was either there or you sit down in the... I don't even know.
Trail.
Yeah, basically a trail stand. We put a habitat pocket in there right by this stand to also create movement. So the deer would either come the direction towards me or he would go to Mike. One way or the other, he was in trouble. So that being said, the sun comes up. We're seeing a few little things happening, and I look out. It was probably about 8 a.m. And here's Freak Show standing. He had just come out of the big plot where Mike had the decoy, and Freak Show's standing on the trail. And I look, and I can't see Mike, but he's really only about
60 yards from you.
Yeah,
probably
60,
70 yards away.
So I call, and the deer hears me, and he turns, and Mike had gotten his camera out by now, and the deer comes in, and he's just PO'd, just pissed off. You could tell this deer was aggressive anyway in the pictures on how he carried himself, just what type of animal he was, and he starts ripping up trees, and you can see in the video here it just breaking crap. He breaks this tree in half, picks it up in his antlers and wings the thing.
Throws it.
Yeah, I'm like, geez. So I called to him a couple more times, then I snort wheezed at him, and that did it. He turned, he started coming right along the pond, right up the trail, basically towards me. Comes 14 yards, turns broadside as it did. Really nice buck. Freak Show. We'll show you guys some of the video and pictures here. Kind of cool story, even though it was a short story, because Mike had just gotten pictures of him, knew he was there. He's like, he's going to come through here. One of us is going to get a shot. And that's exactly what happened. So that's how that one worked out. Yeah. So now...
Yeah, he... Basically where he went, of course he went all the way through the bedding,
yeah.
Like normal. So we get all the way through there. We waited. We sat still a couple hours.
Yep.
And I was sitting yet because, I hadn't found my buck the night before.
Yep.
So, anyway, we go to get Carl's buck, and we get to where he's laying. I'm like, oh, he went right over top of my blood trail. Carl's like, really? I said, yeah. And I showed him. He's like, Jesus, man. He's like, I didn't know that he had that much blood. And I said, yeah. I said, it's quite a bit. And he's like, well, we better go look for that deer. So, we got Freak out of there, cleaned up and out of there, and in the trailer, and the three of us, because Phil was up too, we went out there looking for him. And, had a lot of blood in the corn.
Oh, yeah.
And, I waypointed it. We walked right to that last blood and kept following it and had blood. And then you got down and saw, you're like, well, I can see a whole bunch of corn down up ahead of us. And I'm thinking, he's got to be up there, So we get up there, and it's like a crime scene. All the corn is down. There's hair, there's blood, and it's going downhill because we're on the side hill of the ridge. And I'm thinking, I'm walking in there like he's going to be right here.
Yeah, laying there dead.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I think we got one more smear of blood heading west again.
Yeah.
And then we just had tracks.
Yeah. He got into a kind of a wider row of corn. I think it's where they had split it and they didn't have the arm down or something. And so we're not seeing blood on the corn, on the leaves and anything. So because he can go right down the middle of this thing, and we're on the tracks. We went quite a ways on the tracks to the point to where we could almost see the far west side of. Well, we could see all the way down to where the tree line was. Mm-hmm. And Mike says to me, or I said to Mike, maybe we should go all the way down. I don't remember. One of us said it. And we ended up not going down for some reason all the way to the end because we were like, we weren't even sure we were on the right tracks. There's no blood, and it's 100 and some yards we went. But instead of going all the way down, we didn't. So we turned around and went back and never recovered Mike's deer at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And we commenced to...
Yeah, we kept hunting.
We kept hunting for the next
Yeah, so we
7 days.
went back then to your place.
Yeah.
We were going every day. So I was leaving here at 3.
Yeah, 3 in the morning.
3 in the morning. We were going to Carl's place, which is 2 hours from my place. We'd hunt there till dark, and then I would come home.
Mm-hmm.
So we were putting in 14-hour days. I had two more times at full draw the first few days.
Yeah.
Just with no shot again on some big ones. Moved around, really pushed it.
Yeah.
We really pushed in. We pushed in hard to the bedding. And got him tight, and we were good for a while.
Yeah.
But everybody, you can only do that for so long.
Yeah.
And pretty soon it's just too much. You pushed it too much. And, the last day, I think we went the last day that we went there and didn't see nothing.
No.
It was just dead, quiet. And every other day had been deer running and grunting and chasing. And so we're like, well, we're going to leave. We're going to let it sit a couple days. So we came home. Carl was going to cut, you were going to cut him up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'll come back and I'll hunt here in the morning and then we'll kind of just see what goes on. Yeah. So in the meantime, I had messaged the other landowner that owned the cornfield.
Yep.
Where my deer head went into, and I said, hey, shot a buck. He ran into your cornfield, lost him in there. If you pick the corn and you find him, let me know. So I didn't hear anything back from him, but he's an older, farmer guy there. It's not like they're big on texting. So I was like, well, I told him, hadn't talked to him quite a few years, but know him, and so I don't remember exactly if I went to your place again and came back or what it was, but
no, you hunted here.
I think I hunted here
But
the day before, the wife texted me. She's like, "Oh, they're picking that corn."
Yeah, we were down at my place.
Yeah, we were at your place. She said, "Oh, they're picking that cornfield, where Romer had went into." I'm like, "Oh, cool, And so it's all picked. I don't hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, "Great." I'm like, "Well, obviously they didn't find him." So I'm hunting here, and I come out, and I'm like, I gotta look, So I walked down, and I walked up my ridge, and I had glass, and all the way down at the end of the field, is it's a line fence, and there's a tree down that had fell out of line fence in there, and there's corn around it, and there's crows all over up in the tree, and I'm like, I gotta look. So I go down there, and sure enough, there he lays.
Mm-hmm.
Right where we didn't finish walking to.
Right.
The crows were on him and stuff. So long story short, ended up finding him, but it was a week.
Yeah.
Probably a week later, so not meat, no good, anything like that. But you'll see I did the recovery with him and all that too. So good on one end, not good on the other, lost the deer,
Did tag the deer.
Did tag the deer, yeah, that was it. Yeah,
Respect for the animal right there. Respect for you for doing that.
I took the wife down there and we took pictures and did the filming and all that, and I sent the picture to Carl, and he's all cranked up and sends me that back.
Oh yeah. Well, surprisingly, the deer hadn't got tore up by the yolks. That surprised me.
It wasn't bad. There's a little bit on his hind quarter. That was it, but yeah, hit him exactly where I thought I hit him. And just long story short, we should have walked it out, or finished off, whatever.
It is what it is.
It's always 2020.
Yep. So now that Mike's got his walk, it's time we got a week worth of work, and then we're heading to North Dakota.
Yep. No mule deer tag.
No mule deer tag. We got whitetail tags this year. Guys, the week in front of us didn't shoot anything.
No.
Well, I'll take that back. One guy shot a doe,
yep.
which I wouldn't do out there, but
no.
He did. So that's fine. So we get there, we get to move in right away, which was great. We're driving in, and we're seeing mule deer all over the place. No mule deer tag, like Mike said. Had a good night Friday night. Yep. Had a nice steak dinner and everything. We got 2 new guys hunting with us. Well, Phil, who hunts with us quite a bit,
yep.
and then another guy from the staff, a guy named Matt Davis from out by where my land is area. So we're taking those guys out there for the first time. Whitetail hunting. So we go out before we even go to town to have a steak dinner, and we're throwing stands up.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a couple spots that Mike and I know in the river bottoms where we had hunted whitetail before. We hung one stand in the same tree. Mike had an opportunity out of a couple years back when we had the last whitetail tag. And I was right across the road on the other side of that river bottom in a same type of setup. So first morning we get out there in the tree. My opportunity ended up not really being a whitetail. I didn't get to shoot him. It's a mule deer come by.
Right.
But somebody.
Yeah. I had one opportunity, the only one that we would end up getting.
Yeah.
And I put some calls out, just blind call out there. I don't do a lot of it here, but out there you do it. They're a lot more call receptive than they are here. So I blind called, and I hadn't seen anything, nothing. And all of a sudden I look over across the ditch, the river, and there stands a buck, a nice buck. And he come across the ditch, was coming to me. Got to 60, turned, was going. I went to full draw, I had ranged him at 60. I had to stop him because he would have been behind a cedar. I stopped him and I shot, and he ducked me. It was a perfect shot right over top of him. He turned around, boom, he was gone. After that, typical whitetail.
Oh yeah.
Had I not had to stop him, I think I'd have killed him.
Yeah.
But he was alert then after I did that.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, a 60-yard shot," but the whitetail out there, they're not used to that. They don't look up. They don't know nothing's in a tree, and he was unaware. But anyway, that ends up being the only buck
that we had an opportunity
to shoot at out there, and we moved.
Yeah.
And we put time in, and we put stands up.
We took 4 stands. Well, 2 stands each, and we set 4 sets. So right after we got done with that morning hunt, we hung 2 more stands.
Yep.
And then after that, that evening hunt, we were moving basically 4 stands a day.
Yep.
We were moving them all over the place, minimum of 2 stands a day to try and find better locations to get on these deer. That night, the first night that I was there, I sat down a spot we call the homestead, the tree we had set up out there. About 4 o'clock, I look to my south, and there's a deer moving in the bottom. I call to it, it starts coming, gets behind some brush, and ends up disappearing. Nice 8-pointer, probably 130 some inches. And I look up on the hillside to my west, and the national park is there. So the national park fence is not too far from the property we're hunting. And here's a guy standing on top of the ridge. And I'm not thinking much of it, and there's a mule deer buck kind of in the park, kind of walking below him. He doesn't see him, but the muley sees the guy. And then the guy's girlfriend comes, and they're out just on a hike. So didn't think much of that. They go over the ridge. I don't see them. So it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. About 5:15 is when the sun was going down at that point. And gets to be about 4:45, 5 o'clock, and I look to my north, and here comes a really nice whitetail out of the bottom on our property there, right off by the corral. I turn and I start calling, and he turns and kind of cuts the distance in half, so now he's about 170 yards away from me. And I'm looking at the deer, and I think the deer is looking at me. I'm in full camo. I don't understand why the deer's looking at me, because I didn't call to him again. I'm figuring, he's just looking in a general direction. And all of a sudden I hear behind me, there's a hunter. Well, here are these people that come around the corner, and they walk the other way around the corner and walk right along the park fence. And the deer's watching them. So that didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's the only those are the only 2 whitetail bucks that we seen, or I seen, and neither one was within shooting distance.
Yeah. I never saw another whitetail except that night when I sat in that bottom close to you.
Yeah.
That doe came and she went right by you.
Yep.
So that was the only other whitetail that I seen, and she was 450 yards from me.
Yeah.
Walked 20 yards, I think, from you. But
Yeah.
we're not out there to shoot does.
No. And I had a couple whitetail doe come to me. I had one within 5 yards, but We did have encounters with mule deer bucks.
Oh yeah, of course we did.
Yeah.
Lots of them too.
And we'll show you guys some footage of some of the muley bucks that we had opportunities to see. Of course, didn't have a tag, so that's how that worked out. Ends up we ended up not taking a whitetail in North Dakota, so that was our failure for this year. But now we're done, getting ready for the season and prepping for the next year.
Yep.
So
Lots of hunts next year.
lots of hunts coming up. We got bear hunt.
Bear hunt. Muley and antelope after that.
Yep. Hopefully another mule deer tag.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Whitetail here.
Whitetail here in Wisconsin.
We got a lot. Full plate.
Full plate. Opportunity for 5 on the wall, my friend.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. So we appreciate you guys listening, checking out the Obsession. We appreciate you guys listening to the podcast every week on Saturdays at 7 a.m. Remember to watch for small property layouts at 7 a.m. on Wednesdays.
We'll be starting again soon.
So hopefully you guys had a good year. If you want to tell us about your success, hit us up right here in the comments.
Especially if anything we said made any sense and we helped you a little bit. We
Yeah.
sure want to hear about that. So
Yeah, send some pictures too.
Yep.
Check us out on the Facebook machine. You can send the pictures to that. We're going to be showing you guys some of the success stories from some of our listeners each year, or last year. We appreciate that. So if you guys want to listen to just the podcast, check us out at Spotify, Google, iHeart,
Apple, RSS.com,
Amazon. Also watching pretty faces right here on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram at Rush Outdoors Wisconsin or The Obsession Podcast Hunting. Thanks for listening.
Later.
Yeah, that's a good deer. Yeah, that's a good buck. Is there another one behind it? No. Those. Oh yeah, look at that. I can hear. Yeah. Yep. He's like, bitches, listen.